My fiance's best friend is making my life
a living nightmare.
We tend to do that sometimes, you know? This story came July 8th, 2024. My fiance has the biggest heart, would literally give you the shirt, pants, and hat off his body if you asked for it. He's a recovering people pleaser, and I get it because I also used to be a people pleaser. We've been together for 5+ years. A few months ago, I started picking up on his best friend, making some not so nice comments towards me. I'm trying to be vague, but let's just say that this type of friend is the type to read who in the room would be most affected by being picked on, and then picks on them until they can't take it anymore. Nobody ever really holds him accountable for this, and unfortunately, I have somehow become his favorite target. I tried to put up with these comments, but it started getting really elaborate. The friend would make up lies about me, saying things that I never said. He once called me in front of all our friends, my fiance included, just to yell, "You're a bad friend," into the phone and then hang up. There is so much to it that I can't share because I'm trying to be somewhat anonymous. It started having an effect on me and my mental health, and I ended up having a full breakdown where I told my fiance how much this was all starting to hurt me. The first time I broke down over this, he said he would talk to his friend about teasing and messing with me less. He then told me his friend was sorry and that he would be keeping an ear out for any comments, and he would jump to my defense if it happened again. A few weeks later, I had a second breakdown over all of this. The situation itself is hitting a very specific childhood trauma and trigger for me, and he admitted that his friend didn't actually apologize. He actually said he was sorry that I was too sensitive to understand his humor. At that point, I told my fiance my friendship with this person is over and I want zero contact from here on out, even if it means I have to miss out on events and parties that otherwise I would have loved to go to. He agreed with me that all of this is being done with the intention to get a rise out of me, and that even if we tried to get through to this friend, he's so diabolical that we could never fully trust him to not treat me at least a little bit crappy. I'm just missing the point why anyone wants to be this person's friend. Why does your husband want a friend like that?
You can't sit with us!
Especially when they're treating his wife like that. That's crazy. My fiance asked if this meant that he had to quit the project that they're working on. I told him I will never tell him he had to because I know how much it means to him. But in all honesty, the fact that this person is treating me so poorly that I'm having physical stress reactions isn't enough for him to want to cut this person off. It does hurt a lot. The fact that this isn't a deal breaker for him is probably always going to sting a little. He's not confrontational at all, and I always knew that, but it's not about confrontation. It's about standing in my corner, and I can't spend the rest of my life with someone who isn't in my corner. This friend is getting married to my best friend in a few months. Oh boy. Well, that really adds a layer. Your best friend is marrying this guy?
Oh no.
And we're supposed to be in the wedding, but I really have no clue how. I get a literal knot in my stomach anytime his name is even mentioned now. I have seen this friend one time since all of this came to a head, and he was so over the top nice to me that it came off as cocky. I had the second breakdown a few days afterwards because I realized I'm possibly going to spend the rest of my life on edge and on guard anytime this person is even somewhat in my vicinity, even if they aren't actually messing with me. I don't know how to come to terms with the fact that my fiance was willing to lie to me on his crappy friend's behalf, but he's not willing to stand in my corner against him. I think it'll always hurt. This guy was supposed to be the best man in our wedding, and as a result, we haven't been talking much about wedding plans. I think if he's still planning on his friend being in our wedding, I may have to call it off for my own sanity. And that sucks so bad. This is eating me alive. I love my fiance so much. I love his big heart and the way he loves with all of it. But he loves some truly wretched people, and I don't know if he'll enforce any boundaries with those people before the lack of boundaries becomes too much for me to handle. I'm just hurt and hurting, and I just want whatever outcome to play out so I can stop feeling so guilty and awful all at the same time. I'm curious what you guys think of this, but you know where we're headed. We're going to the Reddit comments. Someone asked, has your fiance defended you at all? OP said, not necessarily. He's non-confrontational, but he knows the behavior isn't sustainable. He agrees with me that this friend is awful with the intention of being awful. They have a project they've been a part of together for over a decade, and it means the universe to him, and that's the big factor in all of this. He'd more than likely have to give that up. This entire situation is dog crap, and there are zero winners except for the a-hole. That does add a different kind of layer to it when business is involved. Next comment, what does your best friend say about this behavior? That's what I was wondering, but I feel like I already know what the answer is going to be. Let's see what OP said and I'll tell you if I'm right. I have my own feelings towards what she's going through. I think she's being loved bombed and gaslit, and I've seen some proof of it with my own eyes. She was there for the bad friend comment and kind of defended him. I know she's so love struck that she's probably going to choose him, and it kills me, but I'm trying really hard to step back in a way that doesn't totally burn my bridge with her in the end. When he gets that ring on her finger, I have a feeling he will be a different man to her and she will need support. I'll be there when she needs me. I mean, I was just gonna say I think she probably defends her man. I think she probably has accepted that he treats people that way. Maybe she gets treated that way herself and she's justified it in her head and she's gonna stick by her partner. Next comment, you should just walk away from all of this. OP said, I don't think I'm ready to make my peace with this comment quite yet, but I hear it and I'm trying. Right before I met my fiance, I had just cut out a vast majority of people, including one of my closest friends and blood relative, for making me feel the same crappy small way my fiance's friend makes me feel. It's so much harder to burn those rotten bridges when they're not yours to burn. That's a lot easier to say when you have no stakes in this, my guy. I'm in love with my partner, and I know that this is eating him up just as much as it is to me. Trust me when I say he holds himself accountable for his role in this, and we've had many in-depth conversations about how his friend will forever be this way so long as everybody in his life enables him to be. It's hard to cut someone off even when they deserve it. I'm trying to show my fiance as much grace as I can because I know how hard it is to give up on someone you always hoped would grow out of their awful behavior. Yeah, but like, we're all adults. How do you just have someone like that in your life? Working with them, best friend with them, standing in each other's weddings. I could never be around that energy all the time. There is no way.
No, thank you.
Next comment, are there any unresolved conflicts with you and your friend? She said, no, my friend and I haven't really had any conflict. Me and her were hanging at my place while our partners got ready to head to hers, and they ding-dong ditched us twice. I heard the door a third time and ignored it because I assumed it was them again, and then the a-hole called me, speakerphone from my friend's phone, and told me it was a mutual friend that lived in the building and was looking for them for support. I tried to jokingly call them out for ding-dong ditching, but that's when he yelled, "You're a bad friend," into the phone and hung up. I feel like I'm talking to 16-year-olds right now, though.
This is so high school.
I was really embarrassingly distraught by this, and I expressed how it was affecting me and my friend, and left an hour or two later after we sat in silence. I found out later from my fiance that all our mutual friends, including him, were in the car and heard that conversation, and everyone felt tense, but nobody said anything to him. Yeah, he just gets away with everything. Then someone asked if it was just a joke. OP said it wasn't a joke, and it wasn't taken as a joke by anyone involved, not just me. After the friend who was knocking on the door went to find them, the a-hole called me just to make me feel bad for not opening the door. I could hear the friend that was knocking saying, "Hey man, it's not a big deal, it's fine," really quiet in the background, but no one else spoke up. Trust me, I know these examples seem like they shouldn't be getting to me, but this guy is poking every spot he can on me until he finds one that gives him a reaction, and then he just digs and digs. It's hard not to be hurt or triggered when his literal intention is to hurt and trigger me. I know this is not going to go on much longer. We have our first update, and it came almost a month later. We are now at August 4th. We spent all this time since my last post up until last week communicating and trying to find a resolution and walking through how it got this bad. He took a lot of accountability for that. This is not a case of me giving in. He understands fully that this has only gotten so bad because it's never been handled correctly, and he had a major hand in that. There were so many more layers to this than a Reddit post could have ever even conveyed. The bottom line is we are closer than ever, and after talking a lot, we decided on my partner sending a firm but not unkind message to his friend explaining the behaviors, explaining that they were hurting his partner and that he needed to stop. He asked to write up the first draft and we could go over it together to try to perfect it. Reddit, please know the first draft my partner wrote was so spot on what I needed to read that it instantly shifted us into a us versus the problem mode when we had been stuck butting heads for weeks. He laid everything out so clearly and in ways that we hadn't even discussed, so I know it came from him. We had to tone down a lot of the big emotions. We really truly gave the message its best shot to address the situation without being hostile. We knew the response would be bad no matter what, but I don't think anything could have effing prepared us. That's what happens when you're dealing with narcissists. This man went full on, scorched earth, and blew up everything almost immediately. He insulted my partner. He told him these events didn't happen the way I claim them to. He demanded they meet alone with a mediator. He even threatened to reach out to my partner's parents to fill them in, which is probably the moment we stopped taking his responses seriously. All of us are almost in our 30s. If once wasn't enough, he threatened it twice. We actually had to call them and warn them that he could be showing up at their place later this week and to not open the door. There's still a good chance that he will attempt this. That's crazy. I'm gonna tell your parents. Okay? We stayed respectful throughout all of this, which I feel good about. We didn't stoop to his level. We didn't insult anyone. We asked for basic human respect, and somehow it blew up spectacularly. In the end, we both received a massive wall of texts from my now ex-best friend, oh boy, fully backing up her man and telling her side of the story, which is so insanely far off from what actually happened that all I can do is laugh. We have been shifting from crying to being dumbstruck to just straight up laughing because of this absurdity. I went into this thinking she was brainwashed, but it turns out I was wrong. They're a perfect match, and I wish them all the best. I'm sending them one last message, setting the record straight, which my partner and I decided together was the best approach apart from just ghosting them, before moving on from this entirely. I'm going to make it very clear that this is done. Zero contact indefinitely, and I will never look back. My partner and I both deserve way better friends, and we both see that very clearly now. I am so glad I learned my friend's true colors before we dropped $800 on a hotel for their wedding. Not only did I put myself first in the end, but my partner did too. We're going to take this week in stride and process it all, grieve the friendships we once thought were forever, and at the end of the week, we have a conveniently timed vacation to my partner's family cottage. I think we're going to come out of this stronger because we already feel it. I hope so, because the story does not end there. More drama has probably ensued. But we are running back to the comment section. Someone commented and said, victims of abusers usually do a 180 in their behavior. OP said, yeah, I know. I definitely went into this thinking exactly what you just said, but I refuse to set myself on fire to keep her warm. And the crap she said in her message about my partner is irredeemable. Okay, so she's suggesting that her partner is abusive to her, like her best friend and the a-hole, which I feel like we already knew. I mentioned that I'm like, he might treat her that way. He might make those jokes and speak to her in like a derogatory, rude way all the time. Because to him, he just masks it as humor and takes no accountability.
A piece of crap.
A piece of crap.
She can never be a part of our lives again after what was said, out of respect for me and my partner, even if any part of me wanted to hold hope for her. I hope this is a wake-up call for her, but it won't be me on the other line. This has been hell, but I think think we're both just glad to have an outcome. I'll always have love for her, but it will be from a very large distance, and even if by some miracle we reconnect, we will never be as close as we once were without some intense conversations and a lot of growth. Maybe not even then. I don't see that being the case for a very long time, and I've made my peace with that. Next comment. How is your fiance handling the business side of things with the ex-friend? I was wondering that too. She said, as well as he can, he stepped down. He's going to find another project eventually. I know it. This has been so impossibly hard on both of us, but I know it's hitting him a bit more than me right now. And I'm making sure to prioritize him and remind him he can feel that pain and mourn what was. And it's not an insult to me at all, if that makes sense. I know what this meant to him. He did give it up. I'm so sad that he had to, but I'm grateful to him for putting his foot down. He's going to be okay. Just some things take time to grieve and process. Maybe things are better in our final update. I hope so. We're gonna hydrate though. You know the drill. Drink some water today. Cheers. Where's your baby? Or your ducky? Which one are you gonna get? Oh, the coffee. She wants a coffee. Get over here. You're crazy. Everyone always sees you sleeping. They don't see that you're actually crazy like 70% of the time. Are you crazy girls? Oh, well, you gotta let me play. Come here. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, girl, you're gonna give yourself a concussion. You got a little head. Anyways, this is what Lila's up to. All right, so the final update came September 30th, 2024. Hey y'all, I told myself I wouldn't update again, but there has been a pretty massive development. Not sure if anyone is really invested in this crap show, but it's actually helped me to type it out the first few times, so maybe I would feel better if I do it again. Oh, we're invested. I mean, I certainly am.
As stupid as this is, I'm now invested.
A few weeks ago, the a-hole showed his entire hand. He sent my partner a message at 11 a.m. on a Monday, and it is the most unhinged stuff I have ever read. I will sum it up for you. The a-hole said he believed my partner is in an abusive relationship and he should leave me for his own happiness. He claimed he has evidence to support this. He admitted this was the big message that he would have given had they met in person in the very beginning. He also told him he was worried sending the message would make things even worse for my partner if I saw it. He said I am someone he can never forgive and he will never want to associate with me ever again. He ended it by saying he hopes that he'll leave me so my partner can apologize for breaking up the band. Yes, it was a band. Oh, the project was a band. And they can start to repair their friendship. Obviously, a whole lot to digest. I know some of y'all don't know, but I am obviously not abusing my partner. I shouldn't even have to clarify that, but I will anyway. This guy is 100% excommunicated from our lives indefinitely. Not that he already wasn't at this point. In light of this new info, I'd like to share some of the things the a-hole has done over the past year or so that made me realize he was messing with me, but I didn't clock it at the time because, much like some of you, I thought I was just being sensitive. Number one, my partner and I joined some pals, including a-hole, to play a game together online, Lethal Company, if you're familiar. I have many hours in the game and I know the monsters quite well, so I was pretty confused when I was slaughtered by a bracket of 3 game days in a row, almost immediately upon entering the facility and splitting from the group. I mentioned at one point that I'd be having a lot more fun if I wasn't dying so quickly every time, and the a-hole mockingly said it must be a skill issue. After a few more deaths, this time with me at least getting to explore a bit before getting my neck snapped, I asked if anyone had the Control Company mod installed, which allow the server's host to play as the monsters. Suddenly, the a-hole had to go and the lobby conveniently disbanded. I never brought my suspicions up to anyone because I knew it would be my word against his, and I had no solid proof, so I wasn't positive. But when I finally mentioned it to my partner a couple weeks ago after the text was sent, he told me he remembers that a-hole staying on the ship and secretly going AFK multiple times in the game, which lines up pretty perfectly with my in-game's death. And girl, what? He did not like you. Number 2, when I said the a-hole was being too nice the time we saw him after my partner called him about his comments affecting me, I don't think I explained it right. My partner and I were sitting at a table at a local show, and the a-hole sat next to me, not my partner, and wouldn't stop touching my arm and asking if I was enjoying the show. Multiple times, he would just stare at me and grin as wide as he could. If I had just told something I did to hurt my partner, I don't think I would be all over them the way this guy was to me. If it were me, I would at least throw a "sorry about the other night" their way. It felt like he was gloating that he got away with it. It was comically over the top and made me and my partner very uncomfortable. We talked about it on the drive home and we both felt the same about it. Number 3, I was hanging out with my friend at her place and a-hole was there, so we all decided to head to my place and hang out with my partner as a foursome. Right before we left, the a-hole asked if I knew our mutual friend's big secret. I did not. I'm also not very close with this friend. My friend already knew and told him they should just tell me because I wouldn't be that invested, but a-hole told her my partner didn't know yet and they couldn't tell me until we all got to my place and told him. He kept going on about how big the secret was and insisted that I would freak out once I knew. I made a comment about how we were taking different cars and there was a chance my friend would just tell me on the way, so he looked her dead in the face and told her that he would genuinely be upset with her if she told me before he told my partner. We respected that. When we got to my place, it was obvious that my partner already knew. The big secret was simply that our friend was dating someone. Riveting. I found out later that the a-hole had called my partner the minute he got to his car and told him that both me and my friend didn't know, as they should put on a big show of telling both of us together. My partner had known for weeks and the friend group had openly discussed it a few times, and it hadn't come up with me because, as I said, I'm not very close with this friend. I got baited. Truly exhausting behavior. My partner had no idea what happened until I told him about the whole conversation at a-hole's place, and my friend didn't say a word in my defense. I typed out exactly why this was ridiculous once all this came to a head, and they both refused to even acknowledge it. Anyways, I just wanted you all to know that I'm not crazy. The a-hole has literally been trying to drive me mad for at least a year, and it almost worked. My partner and I have had many conversations about all this, and I know a lot of people had a lot to say about him, but please know this was eating both of us alive. He wanted to make things work badly. He wanted to at least try to salvage their 20+ year friendship, but he understands now that was never possible, and he knows neither of us deserve to be treated that way. This was never just about me. If he was a good friend to my partner, maybe things would be different, and we would have tried harder to get through to him, but this is just who he is to the core. He's known for being a prick for no reason and lying about it, and there's no space in either of our lives for that. Anyways, I doubt that a-hole can top the last message, so this is probably the last update. My partner and I are coming out of this stronger. Chaos. There's no way I could have people like that in my life. Not at this age, you guys. I feel like, you know, we put up with a lot of that when we're younger, even in your 20s. You're trying to figure stuff out. I can't. I don't have the energy. Let me know your thoughts on this though, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. And I'll see you tomorrow.